Hey all you Starfinders out there, I'm David, the Digital Dungeon Master, and welcome to my physical and digital review of the new Starfinder Core Rulebook. Let's take a look. So here we are, the Starfinder Core Rulebook. This is a beauty, actually. I mean, just by looking at it, it's impressive. It is in color. It is hardback, as you can see. It is 563 pages, and that is everything you need to play the game. Now, there are no monsters in here, except for a Monarch Goblin that is pretty much an example in the Game Masters section on how to read the new stat blocks for the Starfinder monsters. So, how much is this game going to cost me? You're probably asking, right? Well, the core book is going to be pretty pricey. I mean, it is massive at 563 pages, and you can get this in several places. In fact, you can get this in a lot of places, but the two that I'm going to tell you about is Amazon.com, which you can actually get for $46.10, and it does qualify if you have the Amazon Prime, you'll get free shipping. That's pretty much the cheapest place that I found that you can get it online. Now, you can also go to the Paizo website, and you have a couple of different options there. You can get the book itself, which is a lot more expensive than on Amazon, and it's $59.99. That's the retail price. Or you can get the PDF, which I think is a great price at $9.99. And I'll be honest with you, I was actually surprised when I saw the PDF at $9.99. So you can go ahead and get the PDF from Paizo, you can get the hardcover from Amazon and still pay less than you would for the physical book on Paizo. Or if you want to get into the Paizo Core Book subscription program, you will pay full retail for the core book that is coming out for that particular time, and they also give you a free PDF as well. So you have some options there to weigh, but if you're going to play physically and around the virtual tabletop, I would probably suggest getting the Starfinder subscription. That way you'll get the best of both worlds, and you won't have to go to multiple sites to get the physical book and the PDF. Let's take a look at how the book is actually put together. I mean, this is going to be your typical Pathfinder type of book. I only own a couple of Pathfinder books. I own the core book, I own the Ultimate Equipment, and I also own the Rise of the Runelords Anniversary Edition. And this book is pretty much the same quality as those books, and they're beautiful. I've used them, and I've used them as reference to other games that I've played over and over and over, and I've never had any problems with any of the pages breaking out of the book, falling out or anything like that. So like I said, hardcover. It's got a really nice inner map of the new Pact World system, and you can see here Galarian is gone in the third position from the sun, and now Absalon Station is there. The book itself has a ton of new art. I mean, there's just a ton of it. We'll just kind of flip through it because I'm going to go to the digital version anyway, and I'm going to literally show you guys every single page of the Starfinder book. You can see how the new races and the new classes are put out. All kinds of examples there. Got to flip to the back. There's more. Like I said, there's a piece of art pretty much on I'd say every page and a half to 2 pages. There's a really nice piece of art, whether it be weaponry, and there's a lot of nice art in here, believe me. Pact World's timeline, and then you can go to the back, and then there's a rather extensive glossary, which is always helpful, especially for new players and stuff. Then there is also a really nice detailed index. And then at the end, here's a really nice Starfinder character sheet. And then there's a starship sheet as well. It's not as extensive of a character sheet like the character folio that I did a review for, but nonetheless, do some copies out of this book. It has everything you need. It just doesn't go into the details the folio does. The spine of the book is actually really nicely decorated. Sitting on your shelf, you'll actually be able to tell which book it is you're trying to find. I've actually got a ton of books, and a lot of the books, I can't even tell what the hell I'm looking for. Now, the one last thing I do want to show you is how the pages are actually put into the spine. And they use this really nice flexible cloth strips that the pages kind of inset into, and then it's glued. So this is definitely a high quality book, and it's not going to fall apart like a lot of other game books out there. So let's go ahead and switch over to the digital view, and we'll take a look at this thing page by page, shall we? Okay, so here is the digital PDF of the Starfinder Core Rulebook. And I'm not going to go over every single theme, every single race, every single class. I'm not going to go into the details of all of the mechanics changes between Pathfinder and Starfinder. That would just simply take too long. And plus, I've got videos of those particular races, themes, and classes, and everything else that pertains to Starfinder. So keep your eyes out for that. So I'm just going to go over this stuff for you very slow. I'm going to show you every single page. You'll get to see all of the art. And if you're on the fence about getting it or not, maybe this will help you, maybe it won't. There's a total of 13 chapters in the book, and we'll kind of go over each chapter as we get to them. And you can see, like I said, there's art pretty much on every single page. You know, chapter 1, it has everything that you need, just like every other D20 game that you see. You know, chapter 1 is an example of gameplay. It has the dice you need, if you want to use maps or whatever. Pretty much like every other D20. Here's chapter 2. It has a very extensive character creation, much like the Pathfinder game, and it goes into grave detail, and you get to see that you know, what class you choose, you're going to get to choose something every single level, whether it be a feat every odd level or a class feature every even level, or maybe even odd levels. Talks about the ability scores. Here's all the modifiers, all kinds of tables. So if you're a table junkie like I am, you'll be happy to see all of the different tables. Then it goes into how to stabilize and stuff like that. The new mechanics for that with resolve points. Leveling up. Here's your character themes. There's 10 themes in this game. I've got an overview video for this as well. But there are 10 themes, and if you don't want a theme, you don't have to have a theme, and you can go themeless and still get bonuses. So we'll stop here at the Ace Pilot, and we'll take a look at what this theme gets, and it's pretty much like this for every other theme as well, depending on what you choose. But each theme is going to get a +1 to a particular stat that pertains to that theme. Then you'll also notice at level 1, level 6, level 12, and level 18, every theme will get a theme feature. Then there's a bounty hunter theme. There is an icon theme. There is a mercenary theme. And you can see that the same layout pertains to every theme. Here's the outlaw. Here's the priest, the scholar, the spacefarer, and the xenoseeker. And then the theme list was back on the page where they had all of the other different themes on it. So chapter 3 is all about the races. It has all of the races in Starfinder, which there are a total of 7. There is the android, the human, the Kasathas, the Lashintas, the Shirans. There's also the Vesk and the Yasakis. And these 7 races are the first 7 races that you're going to be able to play in Starfinder. However, I will say in the first Contact book or PDF, there are several other alien races that are compatible to play as a race for your game. And then also in the core book, in chapter 13, in the legacy section, you can also play basically one of the legacy classes, like a dwarf, or maybe an elf or a half-elf or half-orc or something like that. And they're back in chapter 13. Now, there's a little bit of information, languages and stuff like that, how the languages work, because there's a lot of languages that's going to be in Starfinder. Now, the races are spread out just like they are in Pathfinder. You're going to get a couple of bonus modifiers, and then you're going to get a negative modifier. And then you're going to notice that you're going to get 4 hit points for your race as well. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but don't worry about it, because there's a new mechanic called stamina points, and we'll talk about that in another video. But the spread here is going to be 2 pages, and there on the left-hand side will be the art, and on the right page, as you have the book opened up, we'll have a lot of other pertinent information for that race. And you can also see that the races in Starfinder, they get racial features and bonuses as well, whether it be vision or anything else. Here's the humans. And the humans do get another feat, by the way, if you're wondering. And in each one of the races, I do want to show you this too. This is stuff that you'll likely see, or what would likely happen to your character. And then this another little small section in here will also tell you what the other races think of you playing that race too, which is pretty cool. So there's the Kasathas, the new 4-armed alien. You can't get 4 attacks around. Well, not unless you're playing a particular class. There's the Lashintas. They're sort of like a psionics type of race. Here are the Shirans, which is like an insect or a caterpillar type of race. Here's the Vesk, probably the most hated, but they are a sort of like a Goliath lizard man. These things are like on steroids. And then here's everybody's favorite, the cute little Yasaki. Well, not everybody's favorite, but I think it's probably going to be the most popular race, like I was saying. Now, here's number 4. Now, you'll notice a lot of great things in Chapter 4. There are a total of 7 classes: the Envoy, the Mechanic, the Mystic, which is the healer, the Operative, which is pretty much like your Rogue. The Mechanic is new. You can actually build droids, and you can enhance your armor and weapons. The Envoy is sort of like a bard with no instrument, like a negotiator, maybe a diplomat or something like that. The Solarian is like a hybrid, like a paladin, has a floating orb that will follow them around, either doing offensive or defensive things. There's the soldier. Of course, he's going to be your fighter, your warrior type of class. And then the Technomancer, which is the other spellcasting class, which is like your wizard or your mage. So there's only 2 spellcasters in Starfinder. And then it has quite a few pages for every one of the classes. And you can see your classes. Here's your stamina points. That's sort of like your temporary hit points, or how you're going to take damage first before you start going into your hit points. So now in Starfinder, you have 2 pools of hit points. And you can see you get the ability scores. You're going to get... well, it tells you that your key ability scores. And then it also has the same type of skill class, the skill ranking system like Pathfinder has, your proficiencies, what it tells you every single level. You're going to notice one thing, though. You don't get multiple attacks anymore in Starfinder. I think that's a good thing, because I think it's going to do nothing but speed up combat. So there's going to be no more 5 and 6 attacks around. But how they compensated for that was giving you weapons with a lot more damage. Now, you can see that you're going to get something every single level, and there are 20 levels in Starfinder. And there are a lot of choices when you are looking at the class that you want to play. I mean, there are just multitudes of choices. Now, some things you're going to get automatically, and then say here's for the Envoy, the improvisations, you're going to get to choose from these, and there's a ton of them. And they're also level based as well. So not only when you hit level 1, you're going to get to choose from some, level 4, level 6, and so forth and so forth. And you can see there is a lot of stuff here for the Envoy that you get to basically choose from. And I like that. I think players love choices, and I really like the way that the classes are set up in Starfinder. And it was actually like a breath of fresh air for me, because I've been playing a lot of 5e the last 4 or 5 years, ever since D&D Next, and to see these massive amount of choices is really nice, because I've had a lot of concerns from my players saying that they don't get enough choices playing 5e, and every single warrior is the same, well, every single champion fighter or something like that. So this is going to give you all of your stuff for your class, and it's going to give you feats. It's also going to give you every 5 levels, ability score improvements, every 6 levels. You're also going to get your feature from your theme. I mean, that is a lot of variety. It's going to be hard to say every single, Technomancer is the same, every single mechanic or operative is the same, because there's all kinds of different ways that you can customize your character, which is pretty freaking awesome. And then at the end of every class, it gives you a couple of examples for that class that you're actually looking at. Here's the mechanic. The mechanic gets to do a lot of cool things, gets to make droids, gets to customize them. Do you want it to fight? Do you want it to just kind of be a spy? Do you want it to be invisible? And you can see the mechanic gets a lot of mechanic tricks, gets a bunch of things automatic, and then there's a lot of choices as well, and it's all level based, just like all the other classes. And then the cool thing about the mechanic is you get to build a drone. And you can see here's 3 different drone chassis. And then you choose your chassis, and then you have a certain amount of customizations that you can do with each chassis. And then you can also get feats. Your drone will have ability scores and everything else. It's pretty awesome the way that and the one thing about the classes in Starfinder, they really put a lot of time and effort into this. And I'm really glad that they did. Here's some examples. The Mystic, this is the healer in Starfinder. They get a bunch of choices as well. There are different type of archetypes that you can be, whether you want to be like a Xenodruid or a healer or a mind breaker or an overlord. And then within each one of those, or a shaman, and every one of those archetypes, you get a bunch of different features at particular levels as well. So it's pretty awesome. And then you get to choose your spells. Here's the operative. This is the rogue, and the operative has all kinds of different tricks that they can do. And actually, the operative, if I'm not mistaken, will be the only class in the game that will get multiple attacks. So you only get 1, but if you do a full round attack, then you can get 2 at -4 per attack. But the operative can actually go to 3 and 4. I think they're the only ones that can do that. And you can see the operatives, they get a bunch of different choices as well. And then here's a couple of examples. The Solarian, sort of like the hybrid. And you can see that lots of different modes that they can go into, whether it be stellar mode, stellar revelations. I mean, it's the amount of detail that they put into these are really nice. They really put a lot of effort, like I said, into character customization. Because let's face it, character customization, if your players are happy playing their characters, they're going to be interested and they're going to stay focused in your game. And that's a good point to really emphasize when you're creating a role-playing game. Here's the soldier. These things are just, they get feats pretty much just about every other level. And then they get the combat feats, which are exclusive only to them. And then they get a bunch of different fighting styles that you can choose from and whatnot. And then a couple examples. Every class is 4 examples. And then here's the Technomancer, the Mage. All kinds of features for the Mage. And then also, depending on your intelligence, you get bonus spell slots as well, which is a good thing. I know a couple of my players were concerned that they were going to take that away in Starfinder, but no, they didn't. And then you get a bunch of choices at levels too. And then you get to choose your spells. And then you can change them around. There's a section in here that you can do some different archetypes and manipulating and taking away from certain roles and adding new things in and renaming it. So it's cool that they give you some options as well. The Chapter 5, which is skills, pretty much just like the Pathfinder core book. And, actually, I really like this chapter because it talks about everything and anything about skill checks in Starfinder. And, it's actually a really important system. I mean, skill checks are, important in any role-playing game, but especially with how the ranks work and how you, boost up your numbers, whether they're class skills. I mean, it's really going to matter, especially in space combat and piloting or engineering a vessel. So I love the skills section. I've been reading a bunch of different things, and it all makes sense to me. There's a lot of games that don't cover the things that Paizo has covered, which adds a little bit more fluff into the mix when you're talking about, ease of gameplay and stuff. But, if it's there, it's there. And, once you do it a couple times, have to look it up, then you'll be good. But you can see it's actually a rather extensive skill section. Chapter 6, it's all about feats here. There's not as many feats in this book as there is the Pathfinder book, but I know that they've cut a lot of them out. But like I said, there are still tons, and you can see here are all the different feats in the game. There's still, 2.5 pages of feats. And that's pretty impressive. And, the feats are great. As long as you meet the requirements or, of the feat, whether it be class-based or race-based or, level requirement or ability score requirement or maybe a prerequisite, you have to have something else before you take that. That's how it is, and that's how it was in Pathfinder. And then it has all the descriptions of all of the feats. So, yeah, pretty cool. And like I said, there's so much art in this book. Here you go. There's a new space goblin. He's got his helmet with a Band-Aid on it and a bunch of cracks. How's that working out for him? There's a lot of changes with equipment. So this is chapter 7. And equipment, I love the way the currency is now with credits. There's cred sticks. I love the way that the new encumbrance is with bulk. It makes much more sense to me as a game master, because the way that it is in other D20 games, you can carry 200, 300, 400 pounds of weight. You can basically carry everything but the kitchen sink. But the way bulk is lined up and put together here, it's so much better in Starfinder, and I would totally use this if I was going to play a Pathfinder game. So, all right, here we go. Here's a bunch of... There are so many different types of weapons, from basic melee, advanced melee weapons continued. I mean, there are just so many, from one-handed to two-handed. There are small arms. There's all kinds of cool art on what the new weapons look like. Tell me you wouldn't want to, run with one of these elite auto beam artilleries. I mean, come on. That's crazy stuff right there. And then you can see that the damage is a lot higher too, because remember I said, with the classes, you don't get 4, 5, 6 attacks around anymore, but you're going to do a lot more damage on your weapon that you have. And if you hit a critical, there's no more confirmation. There's no more wild crit ranges of like 15 to 20. So if you crit, you'll do double damage, and the weapon may even have an effect, a critical effect, like maybe prone or staggered, or maybe a burn or something like that. And you can see there's long arms, heavy weapons, and they're all level based now from 1 to 20 pretty much. There's grenades. Don't miss with the grenade, because you gotta roll what direction. If you miss, you gotta roll what direction. There's all kinds of ammo, even the Solarian weapon crystals you can buy. But I really do like it. The equipment section is very nicely put together, and I really hope they put out a Starfinder Ultimate Equipment like they did in Pathfinder, because that is my favorite equipment book of any game out there. I mean, it is the best of all time to me. And I could just imagine what an Ultimate Equipment would look like for Starfinder. And then it gives you all of the different, here's all of the different weapons, all of the different features and the properties of the weapons. There's all kinds of, look at these new kind of hand weapons here. Crazy. A chainsaw sword. I mean, come on, that's crazy. And then there's all kinds of special materials. There's crafting in here. You can now modify your weapons. A weapon could have a certain amount of modification slots. And here's pages of modifications for your weapons. Armor is the same way. Here's all the different types of light armor, the heavy armors, and all of the different suits that you can get. I mean, look at this Jarl suit you can get. Tell me that's not badass. Don't even tell me you don't want to be walking around on one of these Jarl Slayers just blasting the shit out of everything. You do. And then it talks about all of the different modifications that you can get as well. And here they are. There's pages of them. You can add like thrusters to your armor. You can add a shield to your armor. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Here's augmentations. If you don't like your eyes, if you're a human and you're tired of being blind in dark spaces, have your eyes removed and have dark vision cybernetic eyes put in. There's pages of augmentations that you can do to your body. If you want to have your arm amputated and have a cannon put on it, go for it. You can do it. All kinds of computers and handheld devices, all kinds of modifications and upgrades that you can do to this stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. Here's all kinds of mundane stuff and other microphones and cameras and medical kits that you can get. All kinds of special drones, like jamming equipment and sir, we've been jammed. You can have jam come down the screen and Spaceballs probably in this. And then there's a bunch of magic items as well. So as you can see, Chapter 7 is actually pretty badass, and it's probably one of my favorite chapters in the book. I mean, it just really impressed me with all of the different augmentations to armor, to weapons, all the different cybernetic augmentations that you can get. I mean, it's just really impressive chapter. There's also vehicles here, a bunch of different vehicles, all level-based. Then here's a bunch of mundane stuff, backpacks and all that other stuff. Chapter 8 has all of your tactical game rules. It has all of the different changes between Starfinder and Pathfinder. It has how combat works. It tells you everything. Initiative, about the combat round, everything. It talks about the new armor classes, kinetic armor class, energy armor class. It tells you about the new stamina point pool that goes along with your hit points. It tells you all of the new actions. It breaks it down by standard, by swift action, full actions, all of the new combat maneuvers, how the combat maneuver mechanic has changed from Pathfinder to Starfinder, all the move actions. It talks about the massive change of attacks of opportunity, which I think is just insanely good for any game. You used to have pages of attacks of opportunity in Pathfinder. Now in Starfinder, there's only 3 ways to take an attack of opportunity. And that's moving out of the threatening reach of a monster and also casting or shooting a ranged weapon in another threatening creature space. So it's great. It talks about the new resolve points and how you need to kind of save some for injury and death. It talks about how healing works. Has everything. How to attack, how to add in all of your modifiers. Prone, talks about flanking, everything. Talks about long distance movement. Talks about with vehicles, flying. Here's all the senses. And a lot of the new creatures, there's a couple new senses, so you'll have to read about those as well. And then it also goes into the different types of special abilities or extraordinary abilities of the monsters. You can see it just goes on, and it has a great attention to detail. Talks about the area of attack, and then it has all of the different line of sights and all of the conditions as well. And there's still quite a few conditions in Starfinder, but I would rather see more conditions than all of these other crazy, racial feature effects or class ability effects or spell effects. So yeah, I'm glad with the multitude of different conditions. And then here's all the vehicle tactical stuff as well. And vehicle chases, don't forget that. Now, I will say that the rules for vehicles are much more defined in Starfinder compared to Savage Worlds. They are pretty abstract in Savage Worlds, and I'm a huge Savage Worlds fan, but I cannot wait to get into some chases in Starfinder. It's going to be really cool. Going to be really fun. Chapter 9, it's all about starships, baby. And playing in a science fiction game, especially with Starfinder, there's going to be a lot of starship combat. There's going to be a lot of starship boarding and combat on starships. So this chapter is all about starships. Now, the first thing, it talks about space travel, the drift engines and stuff like that. It kind of explains a little bit about that. Not going to go into it here. But as you can see here, yes, you can build your own starships. And it sort of works like the way the mechanic droid is. There is a ton of different frames. And as your characters go up in level and their average level, their class level changes, they get more points to invest into their starship. It's really awesome. So here's a ton of base frames, everything from a little racer up to a mammoth dreadnought. And there are so many different modifications and things that you need to worry about with this ship. It's almost, starship building is almost like a little mini game inside of Starfinder. And I can't wait to really dive into this and let the players build their own ships. It's going to be so cool. So after you choose your frame, you have a point budget that you have to spend on every different type of module or upgrade that you can put on a ship. So you're going to have to take care of buying a power core for your ship. You're going to be able to buy thrusters for your ship, all kinds of other systems, from armors to computers to crew quarters and different types of crew quarters, from just basic to luxurious. You're going to be able to get your drift engines to go outside of the solar system of the packed worlds. You're going to be able to get all kinds of defensive countermeasures, security for your computers, just shields in general, escape pods. I mean, there's so much stuff. There's all kinds of other expansion bays that you can do with cargo holds. You can do passenger quarters. You can shuttle people around. You can buy shuttle bays and put solo crafts in there if you have enough room. It's just so crazy. There's all kinds of weapons. There's, your front, your forward, your right, and your left turrets. They can shoot any direction. There's a ton of different starships, starship weapons there is, and you have to take into consideration their PCU usage. So, depending on your power core, all of your other weapons are going to take PCU usage, and so is everything else. So, yeah, it's going to be, it's quite a bit of management, but like I said, it's like a little mini game inside of the Starfinder game as well. And there are all kinds, as you can see, there's tons of different weapons. And then it goes into all the different types of arcs, the rays and tractor beams, and you can even do all that stuff. And then here's some basically some examples of pre-built ships, which they're already fully statted out. And you can give these to your players, or you can use them to attack your players as well. So there's a lot of nice looking art. And all of these ships are in the core rulebook POG set, and which is basically what they use for, instead of miniatures, you have your like they put out in Pathfinder, the bestiary kits. So these, and also there will be races and class mixtures for every different race in Starfinder in that core rulebook POG set as well. And then here's the mechanics for starship combat. There's 3 phases of it, and we won't go into it, but there's an engineering phase, and then there's a helm phase, and then there's the gunnery phase. And then you can do all kinds of different basically tactical maneuvers like barrel rolls and evades, and you can do flybys. And every one of your players, which is another great thing about Starship, they're not going to be left out. So unless they choose to be left out. So each ship can have one captain, they can have one pilot, and then they can have any amount of gunners or science officers or engineers that they want. And every round and basically in phase 2, the helm phase, every player gets to perform an action and do a skill check. So skill checks, like I said earlier, are very important, especially for starship combat. And, here's all of the different actions that the different roles can take. And then here's a little example at the end. So Starship Combat, really awesome. And I can't wait to use it. Here's Chapter 10, all about the magic and spells. Basically, it has all of the mechanics that you need to know. There really aren't a lot of changes between the two games. And then the one thing about spells in Starfinder is you can upgrade these. So that's actually pretty cool. Now, I'll take like the Mystic Cure spell. It can be upgraded pretty much levels 1 through 6, I believe. And I'll actually, we'll find that together. So I do want to show you one example of how the spells work. So here is the Mystic Cure. And you can see that there's 2 spellcasters, the Mystic and the Technomancer. And both classes share some of the same spells. But as you can see, there's plenty of 0 level spells, which are basically equivalent to your cantrips. And spells in Starfinder only go up to 6th level. So maybe they'll go up later. Maybe they'll even take level 20 higher. I don't know. I would probably doubt that they would do that. But let's go ahead and look at the Mystic Cure really quick. And you can see that the Technomancer has a good selection of spells also. Here are a couple symbols. Each spell has a symbol, as this little like red bulb is for the Mystic, which says level 4. So Animate Dead will work for a 4 Mystic or a 4 Technomancer. And then you'll also see, once we get down here to the Mystic, and all of the spells are greatly detailed. And you'll see that some spells have dashes in between the numbers, like 2 to 5. That means that it has a level 2 to 5 level range. But the spells are definitely detailed out pretty nicely. There's a lot of spells, but like I said, some of the spells are shared between the Mystic and also the Technomancer. Some spells are pretty basic. Some have quite a bit of detail to them. Now here's the Mystic Cure. You'll see that it has a dash, and only the Mystic can use it, and it's a level 1 through 6 spell. So level 1, 1d8, 2, 3d8, 3, 5d8, 4, 7d8. So you actually heal quite a bit. It's not like it just goes up one die type. Now there's also a nice little thing here that you'll get once you use a spell slot of 4th level or higher. You're going to have 2 options that you can modify the spell on top of the 7d8 base that you're going to do, plus your wisdom modifier. So the first thing that you can do is you can restore an extra 5d8 hit points. That's pretty crazy. Or with a 5th level spell cure, you can heal an extra 98. And then, if you want to, with the second option, you can go ahead and bring a target back from death, as long as it's within 2 rounds of the player dying, basically. You can bring back a player to life with Mystic Cure. That's pretty cool. And as you can see, everything is in alphabetical order, and it just keeps going. So the level ranges in Starfinder, I really like that. It actually kind of reminds me of how the mechanics work for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in spellcasting, where you can take a spell slot and then upgrade the spell. But in Starfinder, you're going to be able to add extra options onto the spell from the looks of it. So that's actually a pretty nice difference and change from games. So game mastering, chapter number 11. This has everything that you need on tools on how to build an adventure, how to create an encounter, how to reward experience points between adventures and levels, the amount of currency or credits a party or personal character can get between adventures, and have up to a level, basically, how much they would have or how much they should have. It talks about all kinds of different environmental effects, atmospheres, biomes, all kinds of different weathers, all kinds of wind effects. So it has a really nice, talks about gravity as well, a really nice toolkit on adapting from a fantasy to a more of a science fiction type of game. Talks about radiations. Here's all kinds of examples of settlements depending on the population of them. All kinds of different structures, how to build the structures, with the walls and the doors and the materials that these structures are made out of. Then it has a pretty nice detailed trap section. I mean, what role-playing game wouldn't be a role-playing game without traps? So this is actually a pretty extensive matrix. And the one thing that I do like about it, it's all cut and paste. There's no variances. You're not playing any guessing games on how to build a trap for for a certain or particular challenge rating for your group. So I like how everything is there, the perception DCs, the disables, all the initiative, and all of the damage and the attack for the traps. I really like it, and there's quite a few different examples as well. Then there's a bunch of different afflictions, meaning curses and diseases, how to make them, and here's a bunch of different examples. And it has all of the mechanics for them as well. And then here's how to read the stat block for the new monsters in Starfinder. Now here's the CR20 Space Goblin Monarch that I showed with the broken helmet from before. And it's not a class anymore. They're basically just flat hit points. There's no more hit dice. There's just one pool of hit points. There's no stamina points like the players have. Some will have basically resolve points. Some will not. Probably the lower challenge rating creatures won't. And then with the new stat blocks, it has everything that you would need for abilities and extra, spectacular features and the extraordinary features and stuff like that. So level 12 is all about the world or the setting of Starfinder. Now, there's going to be quite a bit here, but I know in March they've got a Packed Worlds Gazetteer, I think it's coming out in March. But it has a timeline. This has all of the history. What happened to Galarion? Hell, nobody knows. But Absalon Station is in its place in the third orbit from around the sun. And it talks about everything from the different worlds to how to tell time in the days, the calendar, and then it goes into the different the suns. And like I said at the beginning of the book, and inside of the inside of the book, there was a Packed World solar system map. There's the sun, Abalon, Castrovel. Galarion would be here, but Absalon Station. There's a gap that nobody knows what happened. Not even the gods. They actually play coy to that as well. So it basically goes into all of the different planets in this solar system. And then it also talks about what is beyond and some other locations as well. And remember, if you're going to travel beyond the Packed World solar system, your spaceship is going to have a drift engine. So and then here's some other places like Dagox 4 and Embryo, Lothan, Ori. Actually has quite a bit, but I'm sure that Gazetteer coming out is going to have a lot of information. It's going to be a book dedicated to nothing but the actual area of Starfinder. And if it's going to be anything like Pathfinder, the detail of Pathfinder is just truly amazing. Even though, I don't play it that much, but if it's anything, Starfinder is going to be anything like that, man, there's going to be a ton of content coming out for Starfinder for years to come. Here's everything beyond, all of the different planes and stuff like that. And then here's a bunch of organizations, and these would be great to get familiar with, and you can incorporate these into your Starfinder adventures. And there's actually quite a few. And I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit more added in with the adventure paths and the new Gazetteer coming out. And here's Starfinder Society, which is actually fully supported. There's a Starfinder Society player's guide out, and then there's like 4 or 5 adventure packs already. Here's all about faith and religion. I noticed in Starfinder you don't get bonuses depending on what race, what deity you choose, like you would in Pathfinder. But there are quite a few deities and gods that you can pray to in Starfinder. There's actually quite a few. And then it even goes into other gods as well. And then here's threats, like the Aslanti Star Empire or the Aspis Consortium, the Cult of the Devourer. They're in the first adventurer path. So you can incorporate those into your game as well. And the final chapter, which is Pathfinder Legacy, I'm glad that they added this in there for all you hardcore Pathfinder fans. This is all about converting monsters and converting your characters to Starfinder, or taking your stuff from Starfinder and converting it into Pathfinder. Talks about everything. How to convert everything. And like I mentioned back several minutes ago, here's the core races from Galarion, which I will be honest, I wish they would have added these legacy races in with the other races in chapter number 3. I think this would have been a good thing to do. But you can also play a dwarf, you can play an elf, you can play a gnome, you can play a half-elf, you can play a half-orc, and you can play a halfling. And then here's the glossary, pretty extensive. And then here's your index. And that's it. Character sheet, it's not form fillable, unfortunately. And then here's also a starship sheet. So that is my review of the Starfinder Core Rulebook. I'm really impressed with the way the book is made. I think it's going to be built for years to come, sort of like a pickup truck or something like that. It's going to be dependable. It's not going to be falling apart on you after 3 or 4 times opening up, so don't worry about that. I think all of the mechanical changes from Pathfinder to Starfinder is going to be a pleasant change for all of you rule-light dungeon masters or game masters out there like myself that like the very simple rule sets to play. It's going to be new player friendly. I'm sure it's going to probably attract a whole new crowd of science fiction fans, and it's going to be fully supported, although it's not going to be supported as in Pathfinder, but there will still be products coming out, and they've got the subscriptions to join and to get all of the products and the PDFs. So it's going to have a longevity for years and years to come, and I really cannot wait to start playing some Starfinder. So what do you guys think about Starfinder? Do you guys like it? Do you guys not like it? Is there enough fantasy in there for you? I want to know down in the comments section. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please do me a super huge favor and thumbs it up for me. I would really appreciate it. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out all of my other Starfinder videos out there, from the reviews to the mechanics videos, all of the overviews of the themes, the races, the classes, and everything else that pertains to this great new game called Starfinder. So once again, my name is David, the Digital Dungeon Master. I thank you for watching the video, and until next time, happy gaming and stay safe.